If you want to explore how India is increasingly becoming a global talent powerhouse, and if you are curious about what is happening inside a country that supplies doctors, engineers and scientists to some of the most advanced countries, then stay tuned and don't go anywhere, because it is possible that there is a lot more that we can still learn from these Indians. Indians love innovating. It is their passion. It is in their lifestyle. Actually, it is just in their DNA. As a foreigner, if you visit India and if you have the keen eye to observe things, you will easily and so frequently notice how Indians have this natural talent to find smart and clever solutions to their everyday problems. Maybe this is a skill that cannot be taught. It just comes from within. For instance, take a look at this young man. His name is Milan and he comes from Assam. He may not have a degree from India's top universities, but he delivered where and when it actually mattered. In many remote areas of Assam, poultry farming is a source of employment and income. Electricity-run egg incubators which are available in the market are simply too unaffordable for many farmers because of their price. Milan decided to solve this problem.
मैं आज तक जो इनोवेट किया है एक्चुअली 47 आइटम इनोवेट किया है। यह सभी कुछ डिज़ाइन भी है, लेकिन मैं कोई इंजीनियरिंग डिप्लोमा नहीं लिया है। मैं जो इंक्यूबेटर बनाया है बेसिकली ये मशीन रूरल जो पोल्ट्री फार्मर हैं उन लोगों के लिए बनाया है, क्योंकि रूरल जो पोल्ट्री फार्मर है उन लोगों का इतना पैसा नहीं है बड़ा वाला मशीन ख़रीदने के लिए। तो मैं इसी हिसाब से मैं एक छोटा मशीन बनाया जो मशीन पे एनर्जी कॉस्ट भी कम है, प्राइजेस कॉस्ट भी कम है और आसानी से वो ऑपरेट कर सकता है। और हमारा जो गांव का ये डोमेस्टिक इलेक्ट्रिसिटी है वही पे भी चला सकता है, बिजली पे भी चला सकता है, सोलर पे भी चला सकता है और केरोसिन ऑयल पे भी चला सकता है। जो रूरल एरिया में इलेक्ट्रिसिटी नहीं है इसी पे भी वो मशीन चला सकता है। अभी ये मशीन बहुत डिमांड आया है। मैं वो मशीन सेल करके मतलब मैं एम्प्लॉयमेंट जनरेशन को आगे बढ़ा रहा हूँ।
Through his efforts, Milan has not only generated employment for others, but has also brought prosperity and happiness for his family and for his community. Milan Jyotidas is a grassroots innovator, and yes, his outstanding efforts didn't go unnoticed. The National Innovation Foundation, which is an autonomous body of the Government of India's Department of Science and Technology, recognizes and supports such grassroots technological innovations. I decided to meet Dr. Vipin Kumar, who is the Chief Innovation Officer and the Director of the National Innovation Foundation.
Well, NIF is a complete value chain. It starts from scouting of the innovation, its documentation, validation of their claim, and if we found effectiveness, then add value to their claims. We protect IP in the name of innovators, and at this time, I'm proudly inform you that over 1,000 patents are filed in the name of the grassroots innovators, and finally help them in taking the technology to the market through social or commercial both the channels. If you say in last 19 years, NIF has scouted and documented over 300,000 innovations in its database, which is supposed to be the biggest in the world. We have validated thousands of technologies and hundreds of them have reached to the market.
It's clear that institutes like NIF have realized that innovation and knowledge can come from anywhere. After all, the knowledge does come from India's premier institutes like IITs and IISC, but the source of knowledge can also be India's villages or its remote regions. These villagers may look ordinary, but they are superhumans in their own way. Some of them are serial innovators. Some never even went to any university or college, but their desire and hunger to excel is unmatched. These people are India's problem solvers, and they work almost silently at the grassroots level. In our second story in this episode, I explore Assam's renowned silk industry and this talented man, Deepak, whose immense contribution has uplifted the lives of many in his region. Now take a look at this handloom jacquard machine. The task of the insertion of weft threads is a time-consuming process, But thanks to Deepak's innovation, the speed of manufacturing has improved up to 3 times to what it once was.
क्योंकि मेरे गांव में हैंडलूम से पूरा भरा है, लोग हैंडलूम के ऊपर जीविका निर्वाह करता है। तो उस टाइम मैंने हमेशा देखते थे कि जो वीविंग का बूटी बनाने का जो प्रोसेस है हैंडलूम में, वो बहुत स्लो है। उसकी मतलब वजह से लोग ना जो इनकम करना चाहते हैं वो नहीं कर पाते। तो मैंने पहले सोचा कि अगर इसको सॉल्व कर लूँ तो शायद मैं खुद के लिए कुछ कर पाऊँगा, मतलब इनकम कम से कम 3 गुना 4 गुना कर पाऊँगा। उसी हिसाब से मैंने थोड़ा इलेक्ट्रिक मैग्नेट से पहले ट्राई किया, जब नहीं हुआ तो जो फेराइट मैग्नेट है उनसे ट्राई किया। तो पहले थोड़ा थोड़ा होने लगा काम। तो उसी दौरान मुझे मतलब इसका इम्पोर्टेंस के बारे में पता चला, और जब मैं इसके बारे में इंक्वायरी किया तो मुझे NIF के बारे में पता चला गुवाहाटी IIT में। तो मैं उन लोगों से मिला, उन लोगों ने मेरा डिवाइस देख के मुझे पहले ही मतलब पेटेंट कराने के लिए एश्योरेंस दिया, और 33,000 रुपीज़ एक प्रोटोटाइप डेवलपमेंट के लिए दिया गया मुझे। उसके बाद अप्रॉक्सीमेटली 2.5 लाख सॉफ्ट लोन के ऊपर जैसे दिया गया। फिर कमर्शियल प्रोडक्शन के लिए 2011 में अप्रॉक्सीमेटली 10 लाख रुपीज़ दिया, और वो सब की मदद से, पैसे का मदद से, और ऊपर से भी थोड़ा मार्केट से कुछ कलेक्ट करके मेरा इनकम भी था। तो मैंने एक कमर्शियल डिवाइस 2012 तक रेडी कर लिया, और वो उसे 2012 के लास्ट में उसको मार्केट में इंट्रोड्यूस किया। पहले थोड़ा सेलेंस था, लेकिन अभी तक हम लोगों ने मोर देन 3000 डिवाइस पूरा इंडिया में सेल किया है। गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया बेनिफिशियरी को इसके ऊपर 90% सब्सिडी देते हैं पूरा इंडिया के लिए।
It is so refreshing to see that in India there are institutes that value such talents and something is being done to support them. Inspired by these stories, I continued my expedition to other parts of the northeastern region of India. After all, people in this region of India are also known for their sustainable living and their innovative ways to find solutions. One example is the Living Root Bridge of Meghalaya, which was even recognized and awarded by NIF as community developed, community nurtured, grassroots innovation. In Manipur, I met Khumu Jamjina, who despite all the hardships that she faced in her personal life, went on to become a leading entrepreneur in the region. She is a manufacturer of herbal soaps for which she uses herbs like Hairibop and Nonglaishang, which are popular in the Manipuri folk medicine.
2004 से हम साबुन बनाना शुरू हो गया। तो 7 में नेशनल इनोवेशन हमको साबुन देखने के बाद हमको वो लोग बहुत क्वेश्चन किया, और हमारा साबुन में नोंगलेशंग यही नाम है, बहुत इससे बहुत मेडिसिन का वैल्यू बहुत मिला है। ऐसा नेशनल इनोवेशन हमको पता जो है वो लेके वो लोग लेबोरेटरी टेस्ट किया, और कितना परसेंटेज सब वो लोग किया, और उसका बाद हमारा हर साबुन का नाम है नोंगलेशंग, हैरीबॉब, ओक हिदाक और हैबी। यही है मेडिसिन प्लांट मणिपुर में मिला है।
Khumu Jamjina runs her business from her house in Imphal. She has a little garden where she grows many herbs and fruits that are unique to this region of India. But these stories don't end here. Just a few miles from here, within Manipur, there is a popular serial innovator. Now, don't let these humble surroundings confuse you. This is the House Plus laboratory of Manihar Sharma, a veteran of his field and a recipient of many reputed awards. There was a time when this man worked as an auto rickshaw driver, but his passion to solve the problems for his community and his never give up attitude prompted him to enroll for a 3-month course in plastic molding techniques when he was more than 50 years old. Can you believe that? Manihar wanted to do something to help those women in his region who are involved in silk reeling. For many women in Imphal, it is tough to balance the available time between household activities and silk reeling, and this affects their manufacturing output. Besides that, power cuts in the region can also be a problem. To solve these problems and to simplify the tedious task of reeling silk traditionally, Manihar Sharma came up with a solar-operated machine which can simultaneously perform reeling and spinning of different types of silk.
सोलर सिल्क रीलिंग कम स्पिनिंग मशीन, इसी में थोड़ा फर्क है। मैंने सोचा कमाने वालों का आधा समय बच लिया तो मुनाफा थोड़ा तो ज़्यादा होना पड़ेगा, ये पहला ख्याल है मेरा। दूसरा, हाई क्लास पोर्टेबल होना ज़रूरी है, जहाँ भी वो ले जा सकते हैं, गांव में हो जो पहाड़ में हो, इसका भी ख्याल रखा है मैंने।
In our fifth story of this episode, I introduce you to Deban Singh of Manipur. Financial hardships during his childhood forced him to discontinue his studies in school, but his hunger to learn never left him. In the local cuisine of Manipur, there are many dishes which use dried fish, dried meat, and dried vegetables. While working as a metal fabricator, he innovated many devices that are built in accordance with the food preference of people in Manipur and in the neighboring regions. For his cooking and drying stove, NIF supported him through its business development grant.
I don't know what ready that we and I'm not much loan, 3 lakhs weapon, tools.
See, when you talk about the knowledge and you say that knowledge is the resource, that it doesn't mean that knowledge is coming from the formal sector. Knowledge may come from anywhere actually. If anybody is generating any knowledge, is generating any innovation, then definitely it is having equivalent value. So this is untouched area where before NIF no one has reached, but now after that, this is not in India but the world. If you see the recent reports of WIPO, you will find that the importance of grassroots innovations have been mentioned in the report, and it is clearly mentioned that for inclusive development of any nation, these innovations are very important. So we cannot ignore in today's time, we cannot ignore those innovations, and we expect that lots of good technology, robust technology will come out from them.
Dr. Vipin Kumar's thoughts on the importance of grassroots innovations are also supported by Professor Amresh Chakrabarti of the Indian Institute of Science in Bengaluru.
I think the importance of grassroots innovators anywhere, not just in India, is immense, because if you look at the kind of innovations that typically happens in large companies or even small companies, they will look for volume in the market, right? And unless there is a reasonable volume, they are not going to touch that as a problem and do the product. Now, you and I have all kinds of problems that we face every day, but maybe your neighbor doesn't face that. Who solves that problem? You and I do, or we bear with it. Grassroots innovators are nothing but some of us who have decided to take that on ourselves and say, how am I going to solve my problem? And then later on, maybe look around and say, who else has that problem? Would you like some help? And so if you look at the world as a community, there are all kinds of little and big problems that people have individually or in small communities. And grassroots innovation is a way of helping resolve those.
No doubt, these innovators are an integral part of India's growth story, and the IISC Bengaluru understands the significance of supporting and nourishing these innovators.
Now, one issue that both children and grassroots innovators have is that they don't have any background in technology. And they also don't have any training in design thinking and innovation. So clearly those that are picked up are good, and but they need some polishing. So what Indian Institute of Science, primarily located at our department, along with the Society for Innovation and Development, which is our innovation center, the innovation window to the outside world, together with this department, what they do is they take a small group of grassroots innovators and innovators and help them develop their product where they are productionizable. But also every year they bring, I think, all the winners of the Manak Award here, the national winners, and we train them for a week in something called IISC design thinking. IISC design thinking is, of course, design thinking from IISC, but also IISC has the meaning that it is identify, ideate, select, and consolidate. Those are the 4 building blocks of design thinking, as is taught to even our master students at IISC. So the idea is that the students then go back, and the grassroots innovators, and that they are better at now doing what they already had shown promise in.
It is so refreshing to see how in India they even have a well-established program for which literally anyone, with or without formal education, irrespective of their age and background, can receive mentorship or training from the professors or educators of IISC. Of course, if India wants to reach its full potential, it cannot and should not neglect the talent of its people. Back in the northeastern region of India, in Mizoram, the regional biodiversity is blessed with abundant natural bamboo resources, which is a part of their culture, cuisine, and is an important source of income and employment. Bamboo splints are used in many products that also include ice cream sticks, toothpicks, and incense sticks. But the process of bamboo stripping and splint making is extremely tedious, which makes the life of a bamboo worker very difficult, risky, and less lucrative. 2 men from Mizoram, Ralte and Silo, decided to change that. They took up the challenge of developing a low-cost and efficient machine that can be operated easily by a single person to slice bamboo strips and make splints from them. It took a lot of effort and even some failures, but eventually they succeeded. A patent was filed in the fabricators' names, and today they have sold thousands of these machines not only in India, but also in Nepal and Bangladesh.
Professor Neil Gupta le Monzwala and Lokala and Nikarin Miron Zongchuaka. Chuan Anni Tanpuinain a model dang tekan siama. The Chuan Anni Puina Hirhinito, my NIF of Lirhian Min Puito. Chuan Poisa Grante Min Pea, Loan Te Min Pea. Then 2013 kan National Award first kan dong heng hea. So min hua po chuan chanpui na rang min pea min zin tira tin 2016 kan third batch innovation scholar in residence program at Rashtrapati Bhavan kan he call wang hian thlan kan nia tin he kan call hi permanent exhibition hall Rashtrapati Bhavan anda ve bok.
In our 7th story of this episode, I present you the story of Anang Tadar, who hails from Arunachal Pradesh. Once a visually impaired lady asked him for directions, and Anang, who had always been curious about gadgets, decided to develop something to assist those who suffer from visual impairment.
It's a spectacle which I made for the blind people, which they can use to navigate in their environment. What actually happens is blind people, they have cane stick, but cane stick are not much of use when the obstacles are overhanged. Like if they are above the knee, most of the time like the cane stick fails to detect it. So what does my device do is it detects the obstacles above the knee and alert the wearer about the location of the obstacles, direction of the obstacles, and the distance of the obstacles. So that way they get to know in advance where the location, where the obstacles is, and based on that they can navigate. So my device is not made to replace the cane stick that the blind people are using. It's indeed made to work along with the cane stick, so that blind people can have better freedom of navigating around the environment.
The northeastern region of India is also a home to rich and diverse tribal cultures and native traditions, many of which have been homogenized or diluted due to the spread of Western commercial and religious monoculture. In Nagaland, through their music and films, Moa Subong and his wife Arenla have attempted to revive and rejuvenate some of the important elements of Naga traditions. Mr. Subong developed a musical instrument called Bamhum that brought him the nationwide recognition.
Necessity is the mother of all inventions. Unfortunately, we couldn't find any Naga musical instrument, traditional instrument that is, to play with that kind of, wearing notes. Guitar, piano, violin, it all sounds too Western. So I thought I should do something. I fiddle with many things, but luckily at the end, this Pam hum came about. Nitin Moria, who is based in Guwahati, he happened to land up here one day and he was telling me about all this, what National Innovation Foundation can do. And I was very happy when he said that I was one of the few selected to stay in Rashtrapati Bhavan. I thought that is the biggest honor a citizen of India can have. And in that process, I was also selected and got the National Award for the invention of Pam hum. That was on 5th March 2017.
So that was the 8th and the final story of this episode. And yes, personally speaking, it has been an absolute honor for me to be able to personally interact, meet and learn from these talented Indians in the country's beautiful northeastern region. And yes, there is no doubt that if more minds can contribute to the problems that we face, if talent at the grassroots can be properly harnessed, and if we can find more ways to fully utilize the traditional knowledge, we can build a happy and prosperous knowledge-based society, not only in India, but also in other parts of the world. See you again.